After looking at my original guides for Brown List 2, I figured I could combine everything into one comprehensive video, while also making it more digestible for everyone. Here's the result of that. This is for newer players and it will teach you how to get to the mid-game. After this video, I will be preparing a guide on how to tackle the mid-game. So if you're looking forward to that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Before we get started, it's best for me to explain the defining aspect of this game: costumes. In this game, you have a unit. The unit just has the basic stats, and you can use equipment to raise those stats. Costumes are what the unit uses in combat. In other words, costumes are just skills. Even though you see a character in a different outfit, that is still the same unit in combat. In layman's terms, this game uses skins as combat skills. So when you're pulling on the gacha, you're pulling for costumes, and all these costumes can be used on the same unit in battle. The only exception so far is Sacred Justia, who is not a costume for normal Justia for story reasons. With that out of the way, we can get into the game proper. Brown List 2 is a game where the goal in battle is to utterly destroy the opposing team in one turn. You won't be able to do this at the very start, but you will get there very quickly. This guide will be geared towards two things. First, I will guide you to make a physical team. This is because the very beginning of the game steers you towards using physical units. Trying to make a magic team at the very start will involve you having to get lucky in the gacha system, so it's just harder at the very beginning. Second, this will be under the assumption that there are no special events running. At the time of this video, Yomi will be available as a free unit, so obviously you should use her. But I won't be accounting for her for this video for the sake of future-proofing this guide. With those in mind, you will begin the game and very quickly get into your first round of battles that will teach you the basics. And then you will get to the infinite reroll banner. At this point, the banner is very outdated and a lot of the 5-star units here are not worth going for. The only good option here is Elenir. Her grid range is decent, but more importantly, she can remove enemy buffs, and this can make your life much easier. She's also one of the most important PvP units in the game, so that's a bonus. If you're patient enough, keep rerolling until you get both Elenir and her SR weapon in the same 10 pool. After that, the game will give you, at the very least, one 10 pool to use on the banner, but you can progress through the game quick enough that you will quickly get about 20 pulls. Use these on the current rate up banner of your choice. You're free to reroll if you really want to go for the rate up unit, but for the sake of this guide, we're only concerned about one unit, Aranis. Aranis is a support unit who buffs physical attack and crit rate. Despite being a 3-star unit, she's one of the best support units in the game. Going forward, understand that support units are literally the most important combat types in the game. They also have the longest amount of relevancy out of any unit type. Always prioritize getting support units over damage units. On that note, if you do not get Aranis, you are very unlucky and you should probably reroll. One unit you will get for free is Wiggle. He's a 3-star kamikaze unit and his attack multiplier is very high as a result. So you should definitely use him early on, though he will eventually fall off and will need to be replaced. That happens at around roughly chapter 7. So for the beginning of the game, your team should be Elenir, Aranis, Wiggle, and 2 other units of your choice. If you're lucky, you would have pulled Cry, who is one of the very few 4-stars who have 2 costumes, and both are very good. One provides defense shred with a pretty decent grid range, and the other, more important one, is a support skill that knocks back enemies and restores SP. This works very well with Elenir to maximize her attacks. School student Sumei is also very good early on, as she is able to buff your attack with 100% uptime. If you did not get either of these units and are wondering who to fill your slots with, I recommend just using Lawful and Justia by default. They're safe early investments since both are main characters, and they're given more costumes throughout the story. You want to level both of them anyways, because certain costumes they have are useful past the early game. With all of that prepared, the main goal of the early game is to get to chapter 11. Now there is an auto battle function in this game, and you can use it a lot. You shouldn't have any real trouble until chapter 7. My main recommendation here is to relax and enjoy the story, because it's actually pretty good. Besides that, make sure you level your primary team and do your best to not spread your resources across your entire account. Be sure to collect any items and chests you come across. The chests often have Dia, which is their premium currency used for the gacha system. The items will be blue sparkles on the ground. Just walk near them and you'll pick them up. These are often materials you will need for crafting. Speaking of that, crafting is extremely important to character progression. Equipment provides the highest benefits out of anything else in the game. The end of Chapter 6 is when you will start feeling some pushback from the game. So this is the point where I would really recommend to start investing into that. You need 2 units to make this work. Shara, who you will get for free, and either Fred or Layla. If you don't have either of these two, you can recruit Fred in Chapter 1 with a 3-star recruitment scroll, which you should have a lot of by the time you reach Chapter 6. Shara has the alchemy skill, which allows her to upgrade materials into a higher tier. She can also convert base materials into different types. This is important for your time and sanity. Fred and Layla are the ones that actually do the crafting. Keep in mind, you only need 1 unit to craft for your account, not both. You will also need to level up their skills to make it better, but for the purpose of this guide, you only need to level up once. Just keep getting skill EXP by using their skills, and you'll eventually be able to use ability books to do so. There are 4 tiers of equipment: normal, rare, super rare, and ultra rare. Then there is a subcategory within those 4 tiers. This is simply a rank, going from rank 1 to rank 4. When crafting equipment, you can potentially get up to rank 4 equipment, which provides the highest stats. You have a 5% chance to get rank 4, so it will require some grinding and patience to get this. Once you have your equipment, level it up to level 9, and then use refining stones to get offensive substats. Critical damage and attack are the best ones. Just keep in mind that chest and helm cannot get critical damage. Magic-based equipment cannot get physical substats, and it's the same rules in reverse. Your stretch goal for crafting at this point in the game is to get rare gear, preferably rank 4. If you can't get rare gear because of material issues, use normal gear instead. Don't worry about the higher tiers, as you won't have the materials for that. Prioritize your materials on getting crit damage accessory, weapons, and gloves in that order, and give them to the units that are providing the most damage. Keep in mind that gear will not be locked to a unit, so if you happen to get better units later on, you can always use that same gear on someone else. If you happen to need materials and you can't convert anything with alchemy, you can just go into hunting grounds to get what you need. Though it's best to hold out until Chapter 7, 8, or 9 to get what you specifically need, as chapters before them will have a much bigger pool of materials that the RNG can land on. Though, if you need to spend your cooked rice before daily reset, you might as well just spend it however you can. Make sure you use the quick hunt feature once it's unlocked, and you can unlock it by defeating the boss within the hunting grounds. There's also another trick you can use to get materials. If you happen to have Celia, you can use her and Lawful to find hidden items. You first use Lawful's search skill to make the hidden items visible, and then you use Celia's absorption skill to draw in literally every item on the map, which will include the hidden ones. Since Celia can only use this a certain amount of times a day, the best places to use this on are the combat zones of Chapter 7, 8, and 9. With all of this, you should be able to blow through the next few chapters, especially if you got lucky with your RNG and got rank 4 gear. Once you complete Chapter 9, you have access to recruit Liatris at the tavern with a 5-star recruitment scroll. You get 2 5-star recruitment scrolls at the beginning of the game. One is from creating your account, and another is given after 1 week of logging in. You have a choice to use your day 1 scroll to get Liatris. I recommend this if you don't have a unit that has a 3x3 attack grid range that vaults past the first enemy. This is a game changer, and will make normal battles significantly easier for both the story and farming. If you don't believe you need Liatris right now, you can save your first scroll for Diana at Chapter 10. This is also the point where I'll suggest taking the time to go through the Magic Crystal Cave and spin torches to farm crystals. Get to very hard mode and beat the areas if you can. Do not worry about the difference in combat power, it literally does not matter. These crystals can be used to power your costumes. There are a lot of priorities involving this, but that's a bit much for a beginner video. For now, just use them to power your strongest units. If you don't need to farm materials, use your cooked rice to farm slimes for EXP instead. You want to push your units to level 80 at least. Also, this game works pretty differently from other games with the stamina system that it has. The stamina gauges, which are cooked rice and torches, do not build up over time. They just reset the full capacity on server reset. After all of that, proceed forward and complete Chapter 10. Once Chapter 10 is complete, you will be able to recruit Diana, who is probably the most important support unit in the entire game. She won't be relevant 100% of the time, but when she is, she makes an extreme difference and will help you be able to fight opponents who are far above your stats. And with that, you're out of the early game and officially in the mid game. From my experience, this takes about 10 hours of playtime total. So if you're a normal person, that's probably a week's worth of gameplay. From Chapter 11 onwards, the enemy scales very high, and you'll start hitting a wall in story content. So you will need to get on the daily grind. Collect achievement awards. Focus on the battle passes. Focus on events. Focus on PvP because that is important. Do last night at least once to get yourself on the leaderboard for those rewards. And focus on Evil Castle and climb floors as high as you can. Once all stamina-based events are done, do character packs. Then do hard mode and very hard mode in both story pack and character packs. Your goal at this point is to clear Tower of Pride at Evil Castle for the very first time. Don't worry about the score, just try to clear it. The mid-game video will focus on everything I just mentioned, as well as doing proper character progression. That video will probably be a lot larger than this one. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions, hit me up on Discord. Link is in the description.